Question 7. Do you collect any merchandise? And if so, what is your number one crown jewel in your collection? I don't really know. I only have the DVDs, and that's it. I'm not really interested in the merchandise and whatnot. It's the show that really does interest me more than anything. Number 8. What non-televised media do you enjoy? Books, audio, spin-offs, online stories, etc., etc. I don't really. I only really pay attention to the televised series at the moment. Number 9. Do you watch the spin-offs, Torchwood and the Sarah Jane Adventures, and what are your thoughts on them? I do watch Torchwood, but it's more with a sense of how bad can this get than anything else. Now, I had high hopes for the series when it started. I thought it was going to be, as it was advertised, an adult Doctor Who show. That is a show that incorporates the sci-fi elements, but also is free to explore elements such as sexuality and include more horrific elements and more complicated character development. But as I'm sure we all know by now, the first 2 seasons of Torchwood were more adolescent than adult. They were terrible, and I think they missed the point. They missed the appeal. I mean, the whole point of Torchwood was to create a vehicle around Captain Jack, who is such a wonderful character. And then what do? They dilute the character by bringing in all of these others that you don't care about. The Torchwood team were initially so poorly written. It was so difficult to care about them. They were awful. And they drew attention away from Jack. Personally, what I would have liked to have seen is a show that it wasn't so episodic, that had a running narrative throughout. I mean, the Torchwood series did have consistent elements that usually built up to a finale, but they were very poorly realised. I would have liked a much more overt running narrative throughout, a story arc, as opposed to these bite-sized episodes. And I would have also liked it to focus on Jack, as opposed to the other characters who nobody could give a toss about. I think the only one who was engendered anything within me other than boredom and contempt is Yanto, and it took him a while, and it's probably only because he was in the background for the most part of the first 2 seasons. Now the third season has done what the first 2 seasons should have done. It was a running story, it was well written, it dealt with genuinely adult issues, the characters had proper character development, there was some focus on Jack and his character. It wasn't so screamingly adolescent. But it looks like it's finished now. I mean, the ending of season 3 of Torchwood was very final, it seemed to me. I mean, I suppose they could bring it back, but I just don't see how they're going to do it. Which is a shame, because it took until the very final moments for it to realise its potential, it seems. As for the Sarah Jane Adventures, I've never watched them. I don't know, it's never really appealed to me. The fact that K9 is in it really puts me off. I don't like K9 very much. Number 10, you are the new showrunner. What would you do to improve the series and as an optional, their spin-offs? First of all, I would establish a running story arc for whatever series is in the works. Something that is consistent from episode to episode. It's been done before. There were entire seasons in the old Doctor Who series that were dedicated to particular themes. For example, there was one series where the Master featured in every episode, but rather than having it like that, I would have a running story arc as opposed to these episodes, self-contained episodes that had consistent elements. I think that would be wonderful. I would introduce more ambiguity with regards to the Doctor, even more ambiguity. I would like people to feel unsettled by him, as well as endeared and excited. I would have the dynamic between the Doctor and his companion be a little more complicated than it actually is. I mean, at the moment, all of the companions have followed the same basic arc, and they've really only been there for the Doctor to play off. That's been about it. I would introduce a stronger companion. Someone who would gainsay the Doctor and would go against his wishes, and who was a pain in the arse for him, basically. Preferably a male one. It'd be nice to see a male companion. As I say, it would be nice to see a companion with whom his relationship is a little more fractious. Someone who is perhaps an old enemy or something to that effect. Or someone who he doesn't want in the TARDIS. He doesn't want to be his companion but has no choice to have them, like the Master. I still think it would have been a great idea to have the Master as the new companion. The dynamic would have been amazing, and the way you could have written it, the episodes you could have gotten out of that, and the character development would have been amazing, but they bottled it, unfortunately. What else would I do? I would introduce some more consistent villains. And villains who have stronger motivations than many of the villains currently have. I would do away with some of the sillier episodes, the sort of comedy episodes that nobody really likes. And I would delve deeper into the Time War and the history of the Doctor and the history of the Time Lords and that sort of thing. I would make the Doctor more alien as well, far more alien than he actually is. I would like to introduce some idiosyncratic Time Lord elements. I mean, you have to bear in mind this is a creature, an entity, that perceives reality and time in a completely different way to human beings. It's a non-linear perception of reality and time, and I would like to introduce more of that. It might be difficult, but I would like to give it a go. Number 11. Have you ever jumped behind the sofa? No, I'm a horror aficionado. It takes more than... Although there are some episodes of Doctor Who that are genuinely creepy and genuinely frightening. I mean, the Blink was a fantastic episode, as was The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. Genuinely frightening and creepy. Is it the Chosen Child or the Lost Child? I can't remember, the one with the gas masks from the first season. That was an excellent episode, one of the first horror episodes, I do believe. No, I've never sort of like leapt out of my skin or anything to that effect. It's more I prefer the creepier episodes, the ones where there's a sense of impending dread. That's what I always favour in horror, actually. So anyway, there are my answers, and I hope they were satisfactory.